Hello. Hello. How's everybody doing? It is the Unfound Live Show for December 8th, 2021. Won't be saying 2021 too much longer. What would that be? 31 minus 8. 23 more days. And that'll be that. 2021 will never be here again. Hard to believe. Hard to believe. Hope everybody is doing well out there. What did I just do? That wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this. Okay. Yeah, I hope everybody is doing well. I'm doing fine. I'm going to be talking a little bit about that shortly. It was an absolutely gorgeous day here in Clearwater Beach, Florida. I don't think you could have asked for a nicer December day in Florida. A little windy. I was out a little bit. I was outside, but I technically did not leave the building. But, and in fact, yesterday, in typing up this week's episode, I actually sat outside on what I call the landing by the elevators, and I have a little chair that I take out there and I can look east. It was a beautiful day to just be out there and watching everything and writing at the same time, and it was pretty nice. And so I hope everybody is having a great week. I'm guessing that some of you have started on your Christmas shopping. I have not started on mine yet, but mine actually is pretty easy because I just do everything online, and I'll think about what I need to buy and who I need to get things for, and I usually can crank it out in about an hour. That's how I do things. That's the way I've been doing things since I left Pennsylvania in 1998. So I'm used to it by this time. As you are watching, all of you are in here very, 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 very early. Please remember to give this live show a thumbs up, if you could. And if you're not yet a subscriber to the channel, do that. And then hit the little bell button so that when the live show starts or we upload videos, actually I upload videos, then you will get alerted immediately, in seconds, believe it. So there you go. Who is in here? Let's see who has shown up on time. Karen was first. Valerie was second. Charlotte was third. Hello, Cherie. Thank you for moderating tonight, Cherie. And Jasmine and Kathy. Hello, Kathy. Iman, Delane, Laura, Jill, Spleen. What's going on? Good to see all of you. Good to see all of you. And so what's been going on with me since last Wednesday? I've just played a little disc golf. I went down to Bradenton. I played a new course. I'd never played this course before. So this is the 50th disc golf course I've ever played. And it's nice. I like it. I'll be playing it in a tournament in a week and a half. So to get to Bradenton, I have to go south down the 275 over the highway, the Skyway Bridge. And the course is fairly close to downtown Bradenton. And I actually videoed myself playing. And so I watched it afterwards, looking at my form. Being that I have never been to this course before, so I could remember what the baskets were. And so I had the tripod, and I was using my phone to film it. And so I was just carrying the tripod from basket to basket to basket. And it was good. It was pretty good. And So I was there, and then I drove back. And on the way back, being that I go right by Maximo, which is a course I've played many times here in Pinellas County, I stopped and played there because I'm going to be having a tournament there in January. And it used to be when I lived in Madeira Beach, it was very convenient for me to get there. Now driving down there is a little inconvenient. So anytime I'm down that way, I try to stop in. And being that I was already in a disc golf mood and it's right off the highway, I stopped there and played. So I got a lot of disc golf in on Monday, and yesterday I was feeling it for sure. 51-year-old body just doesn't want to do what it used to do. It's just the way it is. But I'm very fortunate. Becca says, "Holy crap, Hyatt, I haven't watched this channel for a bit. You're back in my algorithm tonight. I love this channel." Well, where you been, Becca? Where you been? You shouldn't did you forget about me? Did you forget about Unfound? Did you forget that the Unfound Live happens every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern? Well, it's good to have you back. I've prepared a very good show tonight, so it's good that you're here. Laura says, "Where are you at, Ed?" There I am. Yeah, you got to refresh your screen there, Laura, probably. That's where I was. I don't think on certain devices, I don't automatically come on. If you're tuned in and you're waiting, on some devices, I don't think I automatically pop up. You actually have to refresh the screen to be watching. So there's where I was, Laura. So then today I was working on some new form today. A little bit on the landing out here. And probably, I don't know if I'm going to be able to throw tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to go to the gun range tomorrow. I've not been to the gun range in a while. But tomorrow morning, seems like as good a day as any day. I have some time to do that. But, the thing about going to the gun range is I have to get up early. And I don't like doing that. So I'll get up early to be there at 9. That's early to me. And which means I have to leave here at like 8:30. So I already have my guns and everything prepared. And ammunition and everything. And so I'll be over there maybe an hour and a half or something. Because like I said, I have not been there since this past summer, which is not good. Especially since I have a membership there that is going to waste. Not getting my money out of it. So I need to get there. And I'll probably re-up the membership for 2022. Telling myself, Ed, you got to get to the range more. But like I said, just things pop up. Getting up early, and then I have unfound work to do and other things go on, and it just piles up. So once again, if you are watching, please give this video a thumbs up as you're watching tonight, whether you're watching live right now on December 8th, or if you are watching this 173 years in the future, still give it the thumbs up. Somewhere I will thank you. Went to the dentist again. What happened is I had been to the dentist the couple days before Thanksgiving. Back in and it wasn't the regular dentist. My dentist that has done some other things was on vacation or something that Thanksgiving week. It was another dentist. I really had no problem with her. But what happened was she worked on these two teeth back here. The first molar got just a regular filling. The rear molar got a crown, temporary crown, and it came off. And I swallowed it. Yes, I did. It happened on Sunday. Some of you who follow me on Facebook know that I wrote about that on Sunday. And I knew it as soon as I did it. I was so ticked at myself. I hate doing stupid stuff like that. I take great pride in not making mistakes and being conscientious and everything. But man, I was eating some great chicken, and I think what happened was it bit down, and it wasn't like anything got under it. It was like it stuck to the chicken. So I bit down, and so when I went like this, the chicken got loose, and I was going to swallow it. It picked the crown right up, and I felt it pick up, and it was just like, how you swallow can be a reflex action. It went down, and it was gone, and I said, oh, no. So on Monday morning, I had to call the dentist, and I got in there yesterday, and I had my regular dentist again. And so I got it cleaning. And then he worked on this tooth in the back. Now, and the thing is, you should know that the tooth is fine. It's just had a crown on it. It still has its nerve and everything. So the rest of Sunday into Monday when I went disc golfing, and then into Tuesday, could not have anything go over on this side of my mouth. You talk about, it wasn't like a toothache. It was one of those things that there was no pain there, but if water got over there or iced tea got over there, boom, right through the roof. Hurt big time. And in fact, I told the assistant there on Tuesday that, and the dentist when he came in, that when, like after it happened and I wasn't, didn't know what was going to go on, I just drank something and it went over there. It was so bad, it makes you want to kick puppies. That's how bad it hurts. I told him, yeah, it makes me want to kick puppies. So we got that fixed, and he said you shouldn't be having any problems now. In fact, I have to admit that the dentist seemed a little miffed that he was having to fix somebody else's work, and he had to do it for free because I had already paid for it, and it just happened less than 2 weeks ago. So he was working for free. So that probably didn't throw him too much either. But don't worry, he's getting enough of my money. That whole dental place is getting enough of my money as it is, and I have no problem with that. It's just the way it is. After 11 years of not going to the dentist, that's going to happen. But yeah, that tooth was exposed, with no crown on it. And man, if any liquid went over there, oh my gosh. So I was drinking. And so, I have to, unless I wanted to be dehydrated, I was drinking like this, making sure the water stayed on this side of my mouth and didn't go over there, and swallowing very fast. It was very awkward. But it all got fixed. He had to shoot me up, numbed me over here, took care of it. Hour and a half between the cleaning and that, and I was out of there. So yeah, I was at the dentist again. But I think my last special dentist visit is on Monday, because what happens is that I still have this root canal over here, and there's the one in front of it got a crown. Well, the root canal still has a temporary on it. They're going to put a permanent on there. So I'm going to go back there next Monday. That'll get done. And that should be it, as long as I take care of my teeth for a while. And I'll go get them cleaned every once in a while. And I have to start using this flosser, that water flosser thing, a little bit better. The dental tech who was cleaning my teeth told me yesterday, yeah, you have to use that thing a little better than you're doing. So I got to work on that. I got people giving me work to do, like I need that. So that was my visit to the dentist yesterday, but I'll be back there on Monday, and I hope that'll be the end. I hope. Like I said, for the regular stuff. They're getting to know me very well over there, and I'm getting to know them very well over there. But I think it's good that I've gotten over my kind of fear of going to the dentist that I built up over 11 years. Now when they say, oh, we're going to shoot you up and everything, it's just like, do it. Just get it done. So there's that. Okay. What's everybody saying here? I'm allergic. Kathy says I'm allergic to getting up early. Me too, Kathy. And the thing is, there's no allergy medicine that you can take to get around that. So yeah, I know the feeling. Karen asked me, will you be posting a video of yourself at the gun range tomorrow? Probably not, Karen, because I'm going by myself. I suppose I could ask my brother if he wanted to go tomorrow morning. I suppose I could do that. I would have to get to him after the show's done. But probably not. If I go by myself, then the answer is certainly no, Karen. I'm not going to bring my tripod. I'm not going to ask anybody to shoot, video and everything. But if you've seen the other videos that I've done, it's either been by the instructor. I was there for instruction a couple times. He videoed it, or I was there with my brother, or I was there when my buddy Doug came down a couple years ago. We were down in the Miami area and we were at a range, and he took a video. I videoed him. He videoed me. And then when my friend Shay was here a couple years ago, she videoed me and I videoed her. So I would have to have somebody with me, Karen. I think that would only be appropriate. I'm not going to bring my tripod and everything. That's just too weird. Delane says, me too. The dogs and I slept into almost noon today. See, that's what I'm talking about. It was rainy and dark, so great sleep. I love it. Somebody who swallowed a crown. Yeah, they were telling me about that spleen. And they were also telling me at the dentist, they've actually had people who'd done it. And because it was like a permanent crown, not the temporary cheapies that I had, people actually fished it out later. Don't want to keep it PG and clean here. But that's disgusting. That is disgusting. But that's what they said. As far as mine, it's been 3 days. I really don't know if it's still inside me or not. I have no idea. But they've told me that, yeah, people save money. So the dentist didn't have to make it. They fished it out and cleaned it up. Ugh. Oh, I can't even imagine it. Charlotte says she doesn't like getting up early either. Becca says, I rarely ever catch the lives because of work, but I listen to Unfound a lot, especially all summer when I'm working nights. I've spent many nights listening to this channel. Up all night, sleep all day, Becca. I love it. Thanks for listening, and thank you for tuning in tonight. We've been having a lot of great live shows this 2021. A lot of good ones. Thanks. Sharia Kathy says, Sharia, all those years, many years having to get up early for work. Delane had a grandson. She sent me pictures too. Spectacular, Delane. Very happy for you. And then Valerie says, on a scale 1 to 10, kicking puppies is a 12. I know. Pain is bad when it makes you want to kick puppies. Especially me. I mean, I don't have any pets. I don't have the patience and all that, but I do love animals. So when it talks about kicking puppies, that pain must be, it's very sudden too, because, it's like I said, it's not like a toothache. When you have a crown come off, it doesn't even hurt. It doesn't hurt. It only hurts when something goes over there, like food, like water, no matter if it's cold water, hot water, or room temperature water, or a liquid of any kind. And as the dentist assistant was explaining to me, it's not necessarily because of the temperature of the liquid. There's some sort of fluid dynamics because of there's a root there and there's liquid in there in the tooth and everything, and they're interacting. It's kind of like maybe like when you get a headache from ice cream. I don't know if you all realize why you get a headache from ice cream. It's because, of course, your head temperature is 98.6, and then you eat something cold and it hits the top of your mouth, and that pain you feel is the nerves being distressed. Because on one hand, it's 98.6, and then the ice cream is what, 32 degrees or something? And that pain you feel is those two temperatures touching each other. And your nerves get confused, and that's what causes an ice cream headache. if you ever wondered. That's kind of what's going on when you have this kind of pain when a crown comes off. It is not the same as when you actually have a toothache, which aches and aches and aches all the time. This is only when something touches or whatever. And I think it's also the reason that many times when people lose a crown, and if they don't have the money or whatever, they don't get it replaced for a while. And so they just kind of avoid it because as long as you don't touch it or anything, it doesn't hurt. Just an idea. Delane says there's not enough cleaning that makes that okay, Ed. Yes. Thanks. Yeah, I got some work to do on my flossing with the water flosser. I'm just she told me you're just not being she goes, I can already tell you've been using it for a month. You're not doing it right. Like from that movie, Mr. Mom. Remember that? He pulls up and he's going the wrong direction. And the woman, the traffic person or cross guard or whatever, she says to him, you're doing it wrong. Yeah, I'm doing it wrong right now with the water flosser. So going to have to re-educate myself, probably watch some YouTube videos to make sure I'm doing it right. What else is going on? Iron Maiden is coming to Tampa next October. And that means I will be there. They'll be playing at the Amalie Arena, which is where the hockey team, the Tampa Bay Lightning, Stanley Cup winners, what was it last year or this past year? I don't watch hockey, so. But they'll be playing at the arena, which will be interesting because the 2 times I've seen them, I had to go down to down there by Nova Southeastern University in Southeast Florida to see them. And this time they'll be right here in town. And I got pretty good tickets, not cheap, but it's worth it to me. I don't have a lot of extravagant things, that I spend money on, really, except my teeth. But it's worth it. And it's not till next October. I'm hoping my buddy Doug can come down. I'm sure I'll be able to find, if he can't make it, I'm sure I'll find somebody to go. Maybe my brother Brian, maybe my buddy Dana, we went to see Judas Priest together. Who knows? Maybe I'll even take a member of the opposite sex. God forbid. So we'll see. But I got my tickets. I think they're pretty good. I'm looking forward to it. And they'll be playing, I guess, some mixture of old tunes and songs off their new album, Senjutsu, which is pretty good. Not as good as Book of Souls, in my opinion. That's okay. Can't get it right every time. In fact, there are a couple Iron Maiden albums that I do not like. Actually, there's more than a couple that I don't. But overall, they're human. What are you going to do? Even Led Zeppelin and The Who and the Rolling Stones and everybody else, they made some, kind of crappy albums too. Let's see what's going on here. Becky says hello from Texas. Becky, hello to you. Hello, Linda. Good to see you. Sorry to be late. That's okay, Linda. I'm the only one that's not allowed to be late. Moving on, maybe some of you, I'm going to surprise you with this, but I'm very open, fairly open. I talk about a lot of stuff that's going on with me. I'd say 90%. And that I talked last week about how I had what I thought to be a panic attack last Tuesday. I talked about that on the live show last week. And it had been over 3 years since I had something like that happen. And so I've taken some time and when the last one happened in 2018, I told myself that the next time it happens, I'm going to call the doctor and make an appointment. And I've done that. The problem is, doctor's a little busy here in Tampa. I wasn't able to get an appointment until January. But she told me she'd put me at the top of the list in case somebody cancels. Let's hope. But looking more into it, I think many of you will be interested to know, I don't think I had a panic attack. had something that is very, very rare. I think here I am self-diagnosing. And when I do get to see the doctor, and if it's something else, I'll tell you. But I think I have, and I don't want the one word to worry you. Okay. Before I say this, I do not want any of you to get worried by this. Totally cool with it. But I think I have photosensitive epilepsy. I think so. Because in thinking at the times that I've had it happen, now it has been a while, it's been over 3 years, but every time that I've had this happen, I've been watching a screen, mainly TV. One time I was watching a YouTube video. All the other times I was watching TV. And last week I was watching TV. And it's a very rare version of epilepsy. Now, I know most people, you think of epilepsy, you think of these people who have, these seizures and everything else. That's not what goes on with this. What happens is that flashing lights and patterns and things like that, certain people are overtly sensitive to them. And now that I've been reading about it, it makes a lot of sense because my eyes are very sensitive to light. People's, like, when I'm outside, and even like my sister will, when she's here, look at you squinting, your eyes are going. My eyes are great. I have fantastic eyesight for being 51. The reason I'm squinting is because it's so dang bright out. Now, the reason I don't wear sunglasses is I noticed that when I used to wear sunglasses that they gave me headaches. And now I know why. Because yes, they're darkening right in front of you, but light can still get in and it's kind of flashing. Dark light, dark light, dark light, dark light. And it was giving me headaches. As soon as I took the glasses off, the headaches went away, although my eyes were still a little bit sensitive. It's to this day why I don't wear sunglasses. And that's what I think it is. And so when that happens, it sends these, your message, your brain gets all messed up and it kind of goes into the blah, 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 and it's like a form of epilepsy. Now there's no shaking, no weird, any weird, unusual things going on. I'm not shaking, not biting my tongue or anything like that. It's just that my brain is firing, all these synapses are firing crazily and I have to wait for them to calm down. So I think that's what I have. Now, what can you do about it? Hard to say. A lot of people just live with it. It's not like, once again, regular epilepsy where it can be brought on by, almost anything. This is a very specific thing. And like I said, I've gone over 3. The first one probably happened 2014. And then it happened once in 2016, 2017, 2018. And I went over 3 years. And in fact, it's the first time I've had that happen since I've been living in this place. But on top of that, I think I've talked about this before. I do get aura, which is sometimes when I look at screens, I start getting all these little cloudy sprinkle things. No headache or anything, but like this cloudiness that's usually associated with migraines, but no pain or anything. That is also probably the same thing. But this is just what went on last week is just a more extreme version of that. So I just have to watch. It's no big deal. I mean, I have these 2 lights in my face. That's no problem. It's light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, shifting images, light, dark, that mess up. And it's a fairly rare, like I said, fairly rare form of epilepsy. It's one of the more, I guess, tame kinds. You can take medicine for it. If it's bad enough, they can do surgery. So I don't know what's going to happen. But now that I know, I think I know, I think I can manage it. The good thing is, like, when I'm outside, like when I went to play disc golf on Sunday, it's really bright out, fantastic. When I'm over here on the landing and everything outside, fantastic. It's when I get inside that you really have to watch, because there are windows, there are dark places in my place, there are light places in my place, and I just have to be careful regarding that. And like anything else, maybe it'll get worse as I get older. I don't know. Kathy, do any of your siblings have the same thing? Kathy, I really don't know because I've not asked them yet. In fact, this is the first time I'm admitting this publicly. So I haven't even asked them yet. Hello, Marlene. No pizza tonight. Chicken sandwich. I had chicken today too, Marlene. Delane, does your heart feel like it's going to jump out of your chest when it happens? No. What happens, like what happened last week, and this is the usual thing every time that's happened 4, 5, 6 times. I'll feel it come on, and because you do feel like you're losing your mind, every time that this happened since the first time, the first time it happened, I was really scared. I thought it was having an aneurysm, stroke, or something. Of course, not that. But now I know how it feels. I can feel it coming on, even though it's been over 3 years. And Delane, I checked my pulse. Pulse does not raise up. No sweating, no shivering or anything else. It's just my entire brain is going. And although I can tell you as I'm sitting there and I had my face down on my bed, I'm like going, well, what's my social security number? What's my birth date? What are the birth dates for my dad and my siblings and all those things? And my mind can work that way. I can remember all sorts of stuff. But on the other hand, if at that point you asked me how old I am, I think I would have had a hard time telling you. I would be able to say, you know what? I know I'm old, but am I 53? Am I 52? Am I 51? Am I 50? I wouldn't be able to tell you the exact age that I am. I'm 51, by the way. Also, I probably would have a hard time telling you what year it is. It's 2021. But I think as I was there, I was going through all these things, making sure I'm not losing my mind. And I can logically get to those answers. I can think, okay, 2020 was the beginning of the pandemic. It's been okay. So it's 2021. I can logically figure it out, but I can't do it right away. Can't recall it in a second. I can do that now, but not when that's happening. So there are certain things that I can really still remember. And then there are certain things that are a little cloudy. And then 10, 15 minutes, it all goes away. Now, I will admit, though, that it does seem like my brain is since then has been on a heightened awareness or something. It does feel a little weird. Not sick. I haven't taken any medication or anything like that, but I think that's what it is. Hello, Fishing. What's going on with you? Delane says, yes, you usually get heart palpitations with panic attacks. So I've been told, Delane, yes. My whole insides feel like they are trembling. Yeah, that's not me. That's not been the what has gone on with me ever since the first time. Now, maybe the first time, yes, because I thought I was dying. Since then, I kind of know what it is, although I thought it was a panic attack, and now I've kind of reassessed it. It's all a brain thing, which, knowing me, nobody should be surprised by, because I got a crazy brain anyway. So, that's what's going on. I think that's what I have. Very rare. You can look it up for yourselves. Very rare. There is a Wikipedia page on it. There are even a couple Facebook pages, Facebook groups on it. It's very rare. And there are tests that they'll send you to a neurologist, and they'll do all sorts of things. I don't know. We'll see. I think that, What doesn't make a lot of sense to me, though, is that it happened like in 14, 15, 16, 17, or maybe 15, 16, 17, 18. Then it went away for over 3 years, and I was not trying to manage it or avoid it or anything, and all of a sudden it's back. Maybe just a freak occurrence. I don't know. Kathy says, just looked online. A person is more prone to photosensitive epilepsy if someone else in your family has it. Well, that would make sense, Kathy, but I would have, I'm just gonna, I'll ask my sister, see what's up. But if anybody else in my family has it, that's news to me. Don't know. And it very well could be that people had it and didn't know it. They were maybe sensitive to flash and everything and never put it all, together, which is also very possible. So I just have to watch. Even looking at a computer screen, computer screens work in a totally different way than TVs do. So it's easier on my eyes. So I just don't know how much TV I'm going to be watching. So there you go. I don't mind talking to all of you about it. Maybe you'll learn something from it. And, somebody will watch this and say, oh man, maybe that's what I have. And so there you go. I'll let you know how it goes. Like I said, I'm not technically supposed to go to the doctor until like January 8th or something, January 10th. It's crazy. But hopefully I can get in before then. But that'll certainly determine what I'm going to be doing for Christmas. I'm not going anywhere if I can get a doctor's appointment and get this on the road to, on the path to getting this fixed. I'm not going to put this off. I'm not that type of person. When tooth went bad, when, I just get this, let's do it. Let's just get it done. I'm not going to sit there and stew about it because that just makes me nervous. And then it'll probably make it worse. So photosensitive epilepsy. Check it out. All right, let's move on to the items for tonight that I've brought to you. Going to start where I usually do, and that is with the poll that was in the discussion group. As far as regarding the disappearance of Ali Lowitzer, I have to say that I was stunned that this guy, Jay, that we talked about in the interview that I did with her mother, was not the number one pick. In fact, he wasn't even the number two pick. Majority people in the discussion group picked someone else caused the disappearance of Ali Lowitzer. In the think tank, it was kind of the same. It was a little more nuanced. And although some people certainly did believe that Jay is responsible, not as deep a consensus as I would have suspected, as I would have expected or predicted going into the think tank. By the way, think tank, patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. Would love for you to be a member. It's a good time to do this. It's about 2022. Maybe you can make it a New Year's resolution to join us in the think tank at patreon.com/Unfound Podcast, where we talk in depth about the disappearance that is featured on Unfound for that week. We had a really good discussion, as you would expect. It went for about an hour and 20 minutes. But just not as many people thought Jay did it as I would have suspected. Because I have to admit, in my mind, there's no doubt that Jay caused this disappearance. And, it's amazing to me, even in the discussion group comments below the poll, which can be done. You can either vote or you can comment and everything. People still suspicious of the person who owned the burger barn or somebody who worked at the burger barn. I don't argue with people about theories. I don't argue with listeners about theories. We discuss things. We do not argue about them and all of that. I got to admit, I'm stunned. I have to admit that I think that we covered Ali's disappearance as well as anybody has done in the last 11 years. And it's weird to me that people could listen to the episode and come away thinking, yeah, I think somebody at the Burger Barn did it. It's just it's a little surprising to me. But to me, there's no doubt. I think this, in my mind, her disappearance is not that mysterious. We do cover disappearances that, you have a lot of different possibilities. Jason Jolkowski, for example. Allie's is not one of those in my mind. But what I did, though, at patreon.com/Unfound Podcast in writing the blog is that I went, through the investigation on how everything went wrong from day one. The police officer shows up, he takes the report. She's just a runaway. And I think that set the tone for everything that happened after that, to the point that this is still unsolved over 11 years later. And that's why I continue to say investigators, police officers, first person on the scene, they need to know the kind of disappearance when they see it. They need to be able to classify it. And being that she was so adamant about wanting to walk to the Burger Barn and how the phone went off so quickly after, she's texting with Jay and everything, that should have been a clear sign that she did not run away. Now, she might have been depressed or something and committed suicide, but that's, to me, not the same thing as running away. All the signs were there that she was not a runaway. She might have been abducted, but she wasn't a runaway. Now, as far as sex trafficking, once again, my understanding of disappearances, there's no reason that sex trafficking should have been part of Allie's case. Certainly because of the demographic. You can think about it, but the facts to me just don't line up. Just don't. And on top of everything else, I think all of you know that I tend to reject complexity in disappearances. I think when we find out about how these are solved, whether it is a murder or an accident or a suicide, whatever it may be, after the fact, it usually is pretty straightforward. Crystal Morrison could be an exception, but fairly straightforward. And so when you start talking about the Burger Barn, how somehow she got there and shut her phone off and nobody saw her and everything, it just starts to get a little complex for me. So that's my opinion on it. Jill says, give the gift of knowledge to yourself. Join Patreon. Yes. See, Jill? You right there. Patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. I'm telling you, you're going to like it. You're going to like it. You're going to like the blogs that I write. You're going to love the think tank. Going to be a lot of give and take there. And your theories do matter because I take that information and then go back to the guest and tell them what we've talked about. Kathy says, I think Jay came across as being low key in the podcast. Well, Kathy, there really wasn't much to say about him except to say that he was the last person who communicated with her according to her phone records. And then when her father went over there, father wouldn't allow the guy, the father to talk to Jay. And Jay even admitted that Allie wanted to get together with him. Of course, he says he said no. But I think that's pretty compelling to me. So, there just wasn't a lot to say about it. I don't know if it was so much low key is that, yes, we didn't talk about him a ton, but I thought the facts regarding him were compelling. Once again, if you're watching this video, whether it's live or somewhere down the road, please give it the thumbs up on the device that you're watching on right now. Jill says it felt shrugged off about Jay from Joanne's perspective. I don't know. I don't know, Jill. Like I said, just because we didn't talk about him a lot doesn't mean what we had to say about him didn't matter. You have to remember that. Alice, hey, good to see you too, Alice. Kathy said, yes, Jill, yes. Joanne specifically said that Jay was only a friend to Allie. She never said anything about Allie texting Jay a lot. I don't know if she had to text him a lot or not. All I know is that she was the last person he texted with, and he admitted that she texted him saying that she wanted to get together with him. So, what exactly was that plan? Marlene says the interview with Joanne was excellent. Thank you. Alice says all thumbed up here. Very good, Alice. Way to get with the program. Thank you. So that is the disappearance of Allie Lowitzer. This is a disappearance that I've known Joanne. I first talked to her back in 2017, and I'm glad that she finally came on the program. So, and I have to tell you, Joanne knows, my opinion on it, but I'll let her know what everybody else's opinion on it was as well. But I'm going to stick by what I said. There was no reason for the investigation to go to Ohio at all. Zero. Moving on, sad news. If you'll remember from a couple months ago, we had a Canadian disappearance, the disappearance of Ashley Simpson. Her remains have been found near where she was living with that guy she met, Derek. And he has been charged with second-degree murder. Very sad. Her mother, Cindy, messaged me yesterday morning, and then now the news is out there in the public. I don't know where exactly near Salmon Arm it was. I don't know how the remains were found. I don't know if they were able to be able to find a cause of death. I don't know anything about that, but she's unfortunately deceased. Is it? And I have to admit, we covered the disappearance, and then like a month later, her remains were found. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know. I'm not saying that Unfound helped that along. I just don't know. One way or the other, I don't know. Maybe Derek grew a conscience and came forward and said, yeah, I did it. Or, yeah, as we know so many times, these disappearances are solved by accident. Somebody walking somewhere, somebody runs across something. Could be anything right now. I hope to find out how her remains were found. That would help us in learning more about disappearances. But I just don't know that right now. So I didn't take account of how many disappearances people have been found since, all the disappearances that we've covered. I'm going to say it's about 15, maybe not quite. It's somewhere around there. Not enough, of course, but Ashley Simpson remains are found. And I think that episode, I don't think anybody is too surprised by that result. Very sad. Marlene says, I looked up that owner from the Burger Barn. He was a weirdo. I did see he passed away. Yeah, that's what I've heard about him, Marlene. Of course, I talked about that in the summation. Joanne had given me some information about him after the interview that I then read. Yeah. Charlotte says, Ashley Simpson's murder, so sad. Yes. And Suzanne says, oh my God, praying for the family. Yeah. As I always say, it's one of those bittersweet things that on one hand, of course, they want to find out what happened, and then they do find out what happened, and that their loved one, whether it's a daughter, a brother, a sister, a parent, the person's not alive. It's, it's just so conflicting feelings. Maybe very much like, if you've had a loved one who has something terminal cancer or something, or maybe they had a stroke and they're on life support or something. And, on one hand, you're very sad that you're going to have to let them go. But on the other hand, that they wouldn't want to live that way either. So It's one of those things, so I have to admit, when we covered the disappearance of Ashley, I didn't think it was going to be solved so soon, but I continue to be surprised by these things, and that's why you never know when something like that's going to happen. I think we have to remember she disappeared in 2016, so it's about 5 years old, over 5 years old. There was nothing that I heard in the interview with Cindy to let me know, oh yeah, this was on the verge of being solved. I guess it was. Suzanne says at least they have their loved one to bury. Yeah. And the person who is responsible for it can have justice done to him. Moving on. I want to reiterate something that was announced on last Friday's episode. As you heard, my assistant Natasha has decided to move on. Natasha had a lot of, lots of, she's involved in a lot of different things. She has her own podcast. She has her own job and everything else. And the 2 years that she put in with Unfound, I have no complaints about her works whatsoever. So she decided need to spend some more time doing some of the other things in her life. Totally understandable. And so I am looking for a website / YouTube person. It's a volunteer position. You'll be my assistants. And hopefully somebody with some good experience. I have to admit that Natasha did not have a ton of experience when she started, but she was a go-getter, self-starter. Really did not have to give her much direction. She knew what she wanted to do, and she got it done. So that's the type of person that I'm looking for. So if you know that type of person, or you are that type of person, send me a message at unfoundpodcast@gmail.com, and maybe we can work something out. So, but in the meantime, I will do my best to keep up on some of the things for the YouTube channel and the website that she usually does. Probably will not be as quick as doing it as she was because, of course, I have a lot of other things to do for the program. But I will do my best. So, got a lot of things going on here. Okay, but once again, looking for a website and YouTube channel person. Moving on, the Brian Schaefer video continues to generate a lot of talk. It's hard to believe that it's like a week and some days since I did that video. It's had quite a few views, at least in Unfound's world, a lot of views. And it's been interesting that some people have watched it. In fact, I will tell you that a guest of the program who has some experience, I'm not going to reveal who it was, but a guest who has some experience in watching videos and missing persons experience, watched it, and he thought the exact same thing, that absolutely Brian put something in this girl's purse. Had a chance to talk to Kelly Bruce quite a bit since the video came out last Monday. Really can't go into too much of the discussions, but she continues to work on it. And I'm thinking that because of this video, that maybe she'll be doing some new interviews with some people. So be looking for that. If you follow her podcast, I don't know if she'll put it on her podcast or wherever else, but she continues to work on it. And maybe this is a new angle of his disappearance, because it's not 100%, but it certainly does look like he put something in her purse. What that was, I think it's a phone. I suppose it could be some other things, but of course, then the question is, why has she never come forward? And I've talked about that. Charlotte, wasn't she the one who worked for her dad? With her dad, yes, Charlotte. She was the one who worked in Canada with her dad. He went back to Eastern Canada. She stayed there with this guy, and she went missing. Yes. Kathy says, I count 11 people found, including Janelle Matthews and Disappearance you have covered. There you go. Not enough. The weird thing is, Kathy, then we have to factor in something like Tiffany Johnson. She hasn't been found, but somebody has gone to jail. Chris Revel has gone to jail, even though, we have to count like Angie Arnell. Of course, her husband went to jail and already got out, even though she's not been found. There's a couple different classifications maybe we should have for these disappearances. Then on the other hand, we have something like Tom Brown's disappearance, still up in the air. Not enough, Kathy. Unfound Podcast gmail.com. Yes, that is the best way to reach me. Thank you, Cherie. Delane says, wow, a tip from the public led them to find Ashley's remains. Yeah, once again, Delane, I don't know if it was by luck or somebody had some inside info. I don't know. Kathy says, I didn't count any of the ones in which remains have not been found. Okay, Kathy. Yeah, not enough. Moving on. I think that I have to announce this every once in a while on the live show, just so people have an understanding regarding this. Within the last week, I had gotten, somebody had sent me a message. They were requesting to put something in the group about a GoFundMe. Of course, there was this high school shooting in Michigan, and they wanted to post in there a GoFundMe campaign for the families affected and everything else. Just want everybody to know, if you're watching live or you're watching this sometime down the road, the answer is always no. All right. I know that sounds cold-hearted, but here's what I think I know. If I were to start allowing GoFundMe, links to GoFundMe pages put in the group, that's all it would be. Soon, that's all that would be in there. Why? Because people are always looking for money. Always. I have nothing against that necessarily. But when I do that, if it's in there, then it's like Unfound is giving it stamp of approval, where it could be that the GoFundMe campaign to get a private investigator, to do this, to do that, it could be a complete sham. And I don't have the time to go looking into every one of these to make sure that they're real. That's another point. So the answer is always no. I feel horrible for what happened in Michigan, but I don't even allow guests of the program to put in. Some of them are running GoFundMe campaigns for this reason and that reason. I don't even allow them to post in the group for GoFundMe campaigns. I have a very hard line against that. But it's not because I'm some cold-hearted SOB. I just know that it's a very slippery slope, that it'll then turn from a discussion group into a GoFundMe group. And that's not what I do. Yes, and there are issues that I'm going to tell all of you. Money does not solve disappearances. I think that's what we know. Hard work solves disappearances. Knowing how to investigate disappearances works. Money does not solve them, because a lot of times this money is going to go to a private investigator or something. And I think we now know private investigators don't know anything about disappearances. So there's no reason anybody should spend any money on them. If the private investigator wants to work for free, I don't know what you can do about that. It's a free country here in the United States. They want to start looking into it on their own without getting paid. It's their life. But not a fan of this. I don't think that money solves disappearances. So that's another thing. It's a lot of different reasons. Mainly, I just know it's a slippery slope. The same way thing goes for petitions. Sign this to get a law passed. Sign this to do this. Sign this to do that. I don't know anything about these people. I don't know anything about what they're trying to do. They might use your signature for something else. Nothing. And you should know, in my own life, I never signed any petition for anything ever. Ever. I don't care if it's starving children in Ethiopia. I don't sign it because you never know when your signature is going to show up. And you should all think about that. I hate to be cynical like that, but it's the same thing when it comes to the group. If I allowed petitions in the group, everybody always has some, cause. And I don't have anything to do with any of them. I don't. So if you're wondering, I haven't talked about this for a long time. I know that there's a featured post that's somewhere on that other page in the group that kind of maybe goes through some of these things, but I wanted to announce that publicly. I know that other hosts do things differently. I don't care. I don't care. This is just the way that we do things here. So if you're wondering, if you're in the group and you're wondering why you never see any GoFundMes, why you never see any petitions, that's on purpose. That's not an accident. That's planned. Let's see what everybody's saying here. I agree with that reasoning. Thank you, Delane. Thank you, Charlotte. Hello, K-Dog. What's up, K-Dog? DAWG, by the way. Delane, not all funds for GoFundMes are always used in the way they are restated. They're going to be used, and that tends to create way too much drama. Yeah, a lot of grifters and con artists out there, Delane, for sure. Once again, I don't have any time to look into all these things. Beth says, I never heard you say anything about whether Allie's phone was pinged as to her last location. Actually, that was covered in the interview with Joanne, and it pinged right in her neighborhood. That's the last place it pinged. We specifically talked about that. Sorry if you missed it, Beth, but it was in there. Let's move on to, I have a couple questions. Let's start with Laura's first. It's a long one, but it's a topic I've talked about before, but I'll answer it again. Laura says, lately it seems like there have been a lot of discoveries of missing persons remains inside vehicles submerged in water. 2 cases at the top of my head. Not going to name them. Their vehicle and remains were just discovered yesterday, and there are a few others that I can't remember at this moment. What are your thoughts? What do you think is a probable explanation for the vehicles going into the water? Drunk, under the influence, while driving, suicide? Also, you don't have to name the case if you don't want to, but do you think any of Unfound's missing persons whose car is also missing can be found submerged in a body of water? Laura, first of all, the second part, as I've stated recently, like with Audrey Herron's disappearance, that we have very, very, very few disappearances that where cars went missing with the person. And a few of those have been solved. And it's weird that we covered 3 in a row back in 2017 where the person in the car went missing. And 2 of those, well, the remains of Eric Franks haven't been found, but his car was found. We know what happened to Esther Westenbarger's. She was driving home. She went into that retention pond. The other one was Jeff Joseph. He vanished with his car. Now, the belief, his sister believes, I'm inclined to agree with her, is that he was set up by some of his business partners in the illegal marijuana growing business in California. So they made him disappear. They made the car disappear. Very probable. We had Daniel Braden, Jansen Brewer. The truck there were driving, not their own, not either of theirs, but that vehicle was missing. And what other car? Of course, Audrey Herron that we just covered is one. And the other one, I know, what is it? I hate when I'm put on the spot like this. You know, you get up to 230 disappearances, and even my brain, I know when we covered, there he is, Donald Irwin. He and his car is missing. I'm open to the idea that he and his car went into a body of water. I'm open to that. I'm certainly open to that with Audrey Herron, too. But more likely with her, I think that she's on land. I think she and her car on land somewhere went off the road. It just hasn't been found yet. So that's the second part. But Laura, we just haven't covered that type of disappearance. Why? There really aren't that many. I think I figured it out. It's like 2% of all the disappearances we've covered. That's it. That have people and the car went missing, although some of the cars have been found and some of the people in their cars have been found. Now, as far as the first part of it, does it see? Well, I think there's more of a concerted effort to do this. We know about Adventures with Purpose. No matter what people who used to work for them might say, but I don't know what's going on there. But they seem to be involved in some of these cars and the people being found. But I don't think in any of them, Laura, at least I'm not an expert on what Adventures with Purpose is doing. I don't know their methodology. I don't know anything about it. But it seems to me that these are all disappearances that were accidents. There was not foul play. Somebody lost control of a car. They fell asleep at the wheel. They were drinking and driving. They had some sort of health event or something, incident. And the thing is, we're never going to know anything about any of it. Just like Esther Westenbarger. She might have fallen asleep at the wheel. She certainly was drinking that night. That doesn't necessarily mean she was drinking and driving. She could have fallen asleep at the wheel. She could have had a heart attack. We're never going to know. So, I'm inclined to believe that most of the time these are accidents. These are wrecks. These are health events, things like that. Now, why does it seem that, more and more of this is popping up? It could have a factor. It could have these rivers changed. I think about, where I used to live in Las Vegas. Maybe if some of you have been following like Lake Mead, how far the water's going down. Some of these rivers don't have as much water in them as they used to. So the levels come down and suddenly people start seeing cars on the bottom of the river. I think that's a factor. I think with GPS and now we have Google Maps and Street Views and everything, people who take an interest in this can start looking at the different routes and seeing, well, you could pick out those areas. And I think that's what Adventures with Purpose is doing. I think those are some of the reasons that this is now popping up. It's a bunch of, there's not any one particular reason, as there's usually never one particular reason for anything. It's a conglomeration of things. I think it's a combination of maybe waterways changing, people just getting a little smarter about it, and using the technology that is available. All of it put together is causing some of this. My perception also is that more than ever, more and more people have boats than ever. That helps. Maybe more and more people are diving and, just run across something by accident, just like people are going hiking and they run across remains. Maybe that could be the same situation with people going swimming in rivers and lakes. I also think that because of social media, because of the internet, and because of the Charlie Project, because of NamUs, I think maybe the awareness of missing persons cases is just a little raised. And so people are really, hey, this person went missing in my area with their car 15 years ago. I'll keep an eye out. I think it's a lot of things put together. I think I want all of you to remember, though, is people going missing with their cars is a very, very, very small percentage of disappearances overall. Okay, they all need to be solved. But I never want anybody to think, well, if we could just get a handle on these people who go missing with their cars, then we're going to reduce unsolved disappearances by 50%. No, you're going to reduce it by 2%. Just going to still have that other 98% where people go missing all by themselves and no cars or boats or motorcycles or anything else are missing. Just remember that. Delane, I remember seeing only one that was suspected criminal that another dive group had discovered after AWP searched. I think it was Brian McKenzie or something like that. Delane, you would surely know more about that than I would. I don't. It doesn't ring a bell. All right. So, Laura, that is my answer to your question. Next, once again, a topic that I haven't talked about much is case requests. A lot of you are very interested in certain disappearances for some, maybe it happened in your area. Maybe you even know the person who went missing. Maybe you know a family member, or it's just something you saw on Unsolved Mysteries years and years and years ago. It's all great. But if you're going to send myself or Emily or Cherie, or you're going to post something in the discussion group or whatever else, what makes it more likely that we will take a look at that disappearance in an effort to have it on the program is that you have contact information or something like that. If you're just going to start sending, just sending us links to Charlie Project cases, oh, why don't you try this one? Why don't you try that one? Oh, I've seen this one. I've seen that one. That's probably not going to get it done. All right. Because, we do reach out to people to talk. All right. We have the capability of doing that. If you want to make our job easier for us, if you want to make it more likely, then, you might want to put a little work into it. Because we really can't, we already have enough of a list of people we've reached out to. They've reached out to us. I'm doing this. I'm trying to get back in contact with the person I've already contacted. Of course, Emily, she lines up people to talk to, and some people stand her up. I know all the feeling about that. So we have, Facebook pages, websites that we've contacted. Somebody got contacted us. And that makes it easier to feature a disappearance on the program. Whereas if you just start sending us a list of disappearances, you start to go what you might call case blind. There's so many in front of your eyes, it's just too much. All right. But so just consider that before you email me. I will tell you, although she doesn't do it now, and I've never named the person. But there was somebody who once in a while would email me, well, you should cover this one. It's like once a week, should send me like a list of 4. Oh, I found this one. This is very interesting. This is very interesting. Well, you know me, I think they're all interesting. So don't do that. All right, we have the ability to find people to talk to. I realize that some of these disappearances are personal to you. Just make sure before you contact us that it's more than just, hey, do this one. All right, because we have a lot of people do that, and I can tell you that hardly any of those disappearances that they send us end up on the program. It's not that we're blowing them off or anything. It's just that we like additional information with it. Because if you send us 5 disappearances, that means then we have to figure out, do these people, the family members, are they even talking? Do they do interviews? Does the missing person's family, are they even still alive? Is it possible that some of these family members are involved? Then we have to go through all of that. And that is a little bit laborious. All right. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about sending myself, Emily, Cherie, whoever, one of the assistants, or just posting on the discussion group. Keep that in mind. Delane, I don't watch AWP videos anymore, but I remember they wouldn't search for anywhere criminal activity involved unless safe to do so, like someone in prison. Once again, Delane, you may be right. I don't know. Something else. This kind of seems to be like a, just reminding everybody of why we do certain things the way we do them on the program. Of course, I've already talked about no GoFundMes and no petition. Maybe I'm just kind of in this mood being that we're getting to the end of another year, and Sometimes people need to be reminded going into 2022, starting anew. But it never fails that you cover a case, and then it doesn't happen every week, but maybe every other week, every third week, I will get an email or a couple emails where people would say, man, that was a really interesting episode, Ed. I think I have something to add. Why don't you call me? And the person will leave his or her phone number. This happens. Now, I don't know this person. I've never heard of this person before. I have no idea if the person's connected to the case. Could be a troll or I just don't know. I mean, I can see the email address right there when they email me, but what does that mean? They could say that their name's John Smith. Maybe it really is John Smith. I don't know. But I'm here to tell you, I just don't call people because these people give me their phone numbers. I don't do that. So if you're watching this video and you're thinking about doing that, I'm telling you, here's what my response is going to be. Anytime somebody ever emails me or messages me on Facebook or through the page on Facebook or even on Instagram, here's what I tell the person. If they say, you know what, I think I know something, I have something to add, give me a call. My response is always, how about you just type what you think you know, this piece of information. You email me back with what you think you know, this piece of information, and I'll read it, and then I'll decide if we should talk or not. And inevitably, 99% of the time, the person never responds. It is amazing how often that is what happens. Tim asked Tim, I was talking about that earlier in the program in the first half hour. I've decided that they weren't panic attacks. Actually, I think I have a photosensitivity problem. Maybe you need to rewind and take a look at that, Tim. But thanks for asking. So I don't call people who leave me their phone numbers. Even if it's, I will say sometimes family members will contact me. Hey, I see you do this program. And, can you help us out? And they'll give me a link and maybe they'll put their phone number in. And if something like that, I will check it out, but I will check it out first. I just won't call them back. I'll look into it. I'll see if the person who contacted me is really a family member, is really the mother or father of the missing person or is related to them. Have they done any other interviews? Does their name appear in any articles about that disappearance? These are the things that I will do before I will get too involved in talking to somebody. But it is weird how, I just don't know, what's going on there. But how many times people they must think that I just call people because they give me phone numbers. So that's not what we do. In addition, this also happened with the Brian Schaefer video. A couple people, and I talked to Cherie about this already. I'm not going to mention the person's name, but a couple people after the Brian Schaefer video was posted sent me, well, there is this person who analyzes video. You should send that video to him. Once again, that's not something that I do. I'm not a facilitator by that. I surely have as much video watching experience as anybody out there. I mean, just watching all that video for Tom Brown's disappearance alone makes me highly qualified. Now, granted, I don't have the same kind of technical abilities, maybe as the FBI or something that can refine things and everything else, but still, I've watched enough missing persons video and YouTube videos about disappearances and security cam videos and everything else to have a good feeling, to get a feel for the situation. So it's always weird to me when somebody says, yeah, you should send that video to so-and-so so he can look at it. Well, the buck stops here. That video that, for example, with Brian Schaefer, it's public information. Now, granted, I just happened to DVR it because it's important to me. A friend of mine, a friend of the program, a woman that I think is doing fantastic work, Kelly Bruce, is going to be on the program, along with Lori Davis, who I also know. They're both on the program. It was important to me. I scheduled a DVR'd it. I saved it, and I watched it. And I was able to rewind it when Kelly contacted me on Monday morning. So this is public information. If these people who contacted me, if you want that person to look at that video and have him analyze it for himself, it's out there. I don't have to send it to him. It's out there. So once again, it just is a little weird to me. And I also have to say, I will admit that it's a little, sometimes when these things have happened, both recently with the Brian Schaefer video and other times, is this kind of a trolling? I want to think that these people are just trying to be nice, but I also have to think, on the other hand, is this a little bit of trolling or something that's going on? Do they not know that we've been doing disappearances for over 5 years? That on many of these disappearances, I do my own YouTube videos for maps and every other thing. So it's always weird to me. Well, it sounds like, you don't know what you're doing. You need somebody else to look at it. So it just always seems a little weird to me. So people who email, don't do that. If you're thinking about doing that, when we've never met before, we've never talked before, and you email me and said, yeah, I want to talk about this, and you leave your phone number, I'm not going to call you. You can email me. You want to tell me what you have to say. And if you say something that is helpful, I will surely respond. And if it's good enough, I will make sure that the guest knows about it. In fact, I will forward your email to the guest so the guest can see it. All right. Because at that point, I'm just a middleman, and I'm more than happy to get out of the way. I don't like being a middleman. All right. Just go. If it's something that I think is noteworthy, I'm happy to get out of the way, and you just do what you're going to do. Here's the guest. Here you are. You two talk. I'm happy to do that. I don't need to be a party to the conversation. But I'm not going to call you because you give me your phone number. In addition, when it comes to me giving information out to other people, these other people are more than capable of getting the information, on their own. They certainly don't need me to give it to them, especially when they're doing their own programs and everything else. I can tell you that, except maybe for Brian Schaefer's disappearance, but I've been talking, to Kelly for a long time. I've known Kelly from probably 2017. We've had many conversations about Brian's disappearance. I mean, we've examined all sorts of crazy angles that don't seem to have any support, but we throw around a lot of ideas. So that's why she sent me that video last Monday morning and asked me, well, what do you think? Because we've been working, together. But so when some listener sends me, we should send that to some other host who I don't even know. I don't even know this person. What does he do? It just seems so weird to me. So there's that. So don't do that either. I know it's just the way I do things. All right. Delane, you're in here. I know you're in here. So, Delane sent me a message through Messenger about this disappearance and what we now know is the murder of Kathleen Moore. Yes. Yes, Sheree. Thank you. As Sheree is saying here, the moderator, my assistant Sheree, well, I don't think you would go to someone's job and tell them, I think you should. Yes. I don't do that. Thank you for bringing that up, Sheree. I'm not trying to, I don't think that I'm the type of person to tell other people how to do their jobs unless I think I know something about it. I know I do that with disappearances. I know that I've never been an investigator. I know that I've never been a police officer. But here's what I do know is that, just as an example, working on Cameron Remmer's disappearance in 2019, I was able to track down these people and talk to people who hadn't been tracked down in a long time, was able to establish that the security guards didn't want to talk about Cameron Remmer's disappearance from the Fairmont Hotel. So I know what it's like to be an investigator. And here's what I know. Those San Francisco Police Department detectives did not do that. I know that. So, and I also know what guests have told me about their interactions with police. So I think that I am in a position when it comes to disappearances strictly to say, you know what? It just seems to me that this can be done a lot better. It just seems to me. And I think that if these police officers were plumbers, whether they were, if they were dentists, if they were engineers, that would be having all sorts of toilet plug getting plugged up all the time, would have people walking around with tons of cavities that aren't getting fixed, and would have a lot of bridges that are collapsing out of nowhere, even more than we have now. That's what I think. If we were doing all those things like we investigate disappearances, that's my opinion. And that's really the only thing that matters. Are they doing as well as other people in other professions who also have to fix problems and solve problems? I think the answer is no. And I'm just sticking to what I think I know about disappearances. So, and I don't tell other people how to do their shows, and I don't name any names. And really, I just try to stick, my, keep my eyes on my own work. But Kathleen Moore, Delane brought this to me. She was a woman who went missing from Pasco County, which is directly north from where I am. Newport Richey. I know people in Newport Richey. I played disc golf with people from Newport Richey. And she was missing, and now her body has been found. It seems like her boyfriend or her husband killed her. But as Delane brought up to me, and I've talked about this before, and I think that's why Delane brought this to my attention, that her body was found by accident in an area that had been searched on purpose before. And it was an area not far from where this guy lived. And why does this happen? Woman goes missing. There's a suspicion that she's probably in this particular area. They suspect that this guy did it. This area is near there. They send out people. They go through these, square miles or whatever it is. Nothing is found. And then somebody goes through their hiking. Who knows what they were doing? Hunting? I don't know. And comes across her remains by accident. Why does that happen? How can a person who is looking for something not find it, but somebody who isn't looking for anything finds it? And I brought this up. I know I'm crazy like this. And so, me talking about me having these things going on with my mind recently, it shouldn't be anybody surprised that I come up with these crazy analogies, but I think it does work. Lee Jones coming to us from New Zealand, 4:30 p.m. in Thursday in New Zealand. Lee, thank you so much. I guess it's summer down there right now, right, Lee? It's going to get really nice and hot there in New Zealand. Never been there to New Zealand. Probably not going to make it there in my lifetime, Lee. You have a beautiful country. You're very fortunate. But I would give everybody the disc golf example, and this is from my own personal experience. In fact, when I was on with Dr. Telesco talking about Jason Landry, I brought up the disc golf example. That I've been playing disc golf long enough that I've lost a lot of discs playing. And sometimes you throw a disc, it goes down there 300 feet into the bushes. You saw where it landed. You have a good idea where it should be. You go down there and you cannot find it. You don't know how many times that has happened to me since I started playing disc golf. Common. In fact, it happens to everybody, even the pros. Pros will throw discs down there, go down there, can't find them. This is a common thing in disc golf. But inevitably, a lot of times you'll go down there, you know the color of the disc, you knew where you throw it, you saw where it landed, you know the time of day, all these things. You go down there, cannot find it. You look for 20 minutes, a half hour. You're like, I have no idea what happened. And you move on. Luckily, these discs, although some of them are cheap, your average disc costs about $15. And so you move on. And every disc golfer has like 100 discs anyway, at least. But then a couple days later, you'll get a call. Somebody who didn't know you were playing that day, didn't know you lost a disc, didn't know the color of the disc, doesn't know you, doesn't even know you exist, nothing. Will call you and say, hey, I found your disc. Do you want it back? Because all of us, we put our names and numbers on our discs. Now, a lot of times people don't call because people steal discs. That's a thing. But there are a lot of good people out there who will find a disc, see the name and number on it. Oh, this person lost a disc. I'm going to call this person and get it back to that person. So then a person comes along once again, days later, doesn't know you, doesn't know you're a disc golfer, doesn't know you were there that day, doesn't know you were lost a disc, doesn't know the color of disc, knows nothing. They find the disc and you couldn't a couple days before that. How does that happen? And it is a big question. I know it flummoxes me, and it puzzles a lot of other disc golfers as well. How does that happen? How can somebody find something when they aren't looking for it? How can somebody else not find that same thing when they are looking for it? And I've come to the conclusion, it's a theory of mine, is that at some point, knowing where you've lost something or where something went missing actually is a hindrance to you finding it. It's very counterintuitive. And what I mean by that is you can't deny what you saw. You go down there and you're looking in that area, can't find it. A part of your mind says, well, it mustn't be here. It must have kicked off. It must have rolled. It must have gone this way. It must have gone that way. Part of your mind is telling you, we got to look elsewhere. But on the other hand, your more rational side is saying, no. You saw it land right here. It's right here. And so you have two competing ideas in your mind. And because of that, it makes it less likely that you're going to find it because you're not bought into either particular theory after a while. Whereas if you just knew that, hey, there is a disc on this course that's yours, you'll go look anywhere. You got 18 baskets, you got the bushes, you got the woods, you got the water, you got one of your discs is here. And so what you'll do is you'll go through every little nook and cranny trying to find it because you don't know where it is. Whereas if you know where it is and you go there and it's not there, then you start thinking, well, I don't know what to do now. I think that's what happens in disappearances. Is that people go into looking for, and the example that I used with Jason was Jason Landry. When I talked to Dr. Telesco, this was September, October. And you see his car there. His clothes were there. And so it makes sense. He's in this wreck. How far could he have really gone? I mean, really? That's what you're thinking. So people go out, they look around, but then he's not found. And there's going to be a part of people who say, well, we have to look further away. Of course, that is going to make things way more complicated because the further you go away, if you're looking at a circle area, what is it? It doesn't go double. If you increase the radius by double it, the square mileage increase, what is it? Exponentially. If you double the radius, that doesn't mean the square miles doubles, it quadruples. So it does get more difficult. But there's a lot of people that are going to say, no, he couldn't have gone far. I think this matters when it comes to searching for people. And so when it comes to Kathleen Moore, people went in there, they didn't find her, and they thought, we don't know what else to do. We missed her. She's supposed to be right here, and we just missed it. And they get frustrated. They think it's going to be easy. We're pretty sure she's right here. We can't find it. You get frustrated. You leave. It's what happens, I think, with disc golf too. Because inevitably, these discs are found in the general area where the people who threw them were looking. And I know that when I've gotten discs back, I asked the person, could you tell me where you found it? And sometimes the disc was not where I thought. It went into those bushes, but then it hit off a tree and it rolled like 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet away, and I didn't see it. So I was looking in the wrong area. Even though it landed here, it ended up over there. But I never had thought to look over there because I didn't know it hit this tree and rolled and everything else. I think this happens in Disappearances. Very complex analogy, but I think it works. So this is one of the reasons that I think this happens so often, like with Kathleen Moore, is that they went out there, they looked for her, and that was great, but didn't find her. And then somebody who isn't looking for her comes along. Why? Person maybe has a more open mind and is not going by any general rules. The person isn't looking for anything at all. And so that means they're going to go wherever they want. They're more likely to cover more square miles or square feet than a more organized search. Very complex idea, but I think there is something to it. But I'm sure I am the first person in the history of the world that has ever tried to draw a connection between disc golf, trying to find discs you lose in disc golf and missing people. Have to be the first on that. So that's my answer, Delane. Complex, but that's my answer. Probably everybody's eyes are, going batty now. Let's move on. No new news in Heidi Plank's disappearance. A week ago, I was talking about how they went to, a dump, and we're going through stuff. It doesn't seem like they've found anything. Now, how far down do they have to go? Are they in the right area? I don't know anything about that. But it's been a week. They've been in this landfill. Nothing found yet. Maybe she's not there. Maybe this is just like I was saying. They're searching for Heidi in the general area of the right area, but not the specific correct area. But no news there. I felt I needed to bring that up because I've talked about her disappearance for a few weeks now. There is still a chance. Of course, you know what I did for the last Unfound now. If Heidi's disappearance is not solved, that she is not found, her remains probably are not found by the end of this month, probably going to make her disappearance the Unfound now, because there's a lot to learn from her disappearance that can be applied to a lot of other disappearances. Thanks, Suzanne. Oh, you thought it makes sense, Suzanne? Thank you. I'm glad at least one person understood what the heck I was saying. Okay. I told Cherie that I was going to talk about this. She and I have had back and forth texting about this disappearance of this girl, Latesh Norse. She's originally from Indiana. She went missing in San Diego. It was like 4 weeks that she was missing. And then suddenly out of nowhere, she's alive and she's with her boyfriend and they're in San Diego. And they are now telling this story that they were homeless and they didn't even know that anybody was looking for them. I think Cherie and myself, if I can speak for you, Cherie, it certainly does smell like something else was going on here. Maybe we can kind of equate this to last week when I was talking about the guy who wrecked his car and was missing for 2 weeks. Then he stumbled home and, he said he was, he almost made it home. Then he figured out he forgot his phone. He went back to his car and couldn't get his phone. And then he was like wandering around for 2 weeks. This is kind of Sheree had me look this up and I did read about it. Sheree, thank you for telling me about it. It just doesn't sound believable. In fact, I have to admit, although we've not mentioned this incident, I don't even know what we want to call it. This feels very much to me like Sherry Papini. We all remember Sherry Papini, the mother who went jogging and she said she got kidnapped by 2 Hispanic women and they kidnapped her and kept her, for all those days. And somehow they dumped her out somewhere and then she made it home and she was gone for quite a while. I'm not inclined to believe that happened. I don't think a lot of people are. I would have to say that to believe that 2 women, no matter their ethnicity, nationality, or anything else, race, are driving around, just randomly picking up a jogger and, torturing her or keeping her somewhere and handcuffing her and whatever else. That has to be one of the most unique set of circumstances that I've heard anywhere. Guys do that. Maybe even men and women together do that. But 2 women doing that, it just, there's a lot of question marks there. And I've stated, what I think was going on there. But this is kind of the feeling that I get with, am I saying it right, Sheree? Lateche, Lateche Norris. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy she's alive. And I'm happy that her boyfriend's alive. But, in reading this story, all of this stuff, it plays out like a soap opera. Between Lateche and her boyfriend, there was domestic violence, and that he was going to rehab, and he was having these seizures. And on top of that, Sheree, I think you told me that the parents are known scam artists or grifters or something like that. And they set up this being that we were just talking about the GoFundMe stuff. They set up a GoFundMe page to raise money. This feels like a scam. I hope it's not. But it just really challenges what I think I know about disappearances. I don't know. Just once again, to go through it again, she went missing for 4 weeks. They were allegedly homeless with her boyfriend, living on the streets. The mother of Lateche was worried because there had been a history of domestic violence between Lateche and her boyfriend. And then, he lost his job because he was having seizures. And then he had these seizures. He was going to rehab and they didn't know. It just sounds like so much like a soap opera. It sounds like something that would be written for Days of Our Lives. That no, he's really not my brother. He's actually my father. Something like that. I hope I'm wrong. But I think there's enough about this to believe this really isn't as it seems. Hello, John. How are you? Sheree says, the more I looked into it, the more it looks like fraud. If nothing else, it supports your opinion on GoFundMe. Yeah. Yes, they are still accepting donations if you want to support their homelessness or contribute to their habits. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah. So I don't know how many of you followed the story. Obviously, Sheree has. And it does seem like it has gotten some attention. I would urge all of you to not buy into this actually being a real disappearance. It feels more to me like these people went missing on purpose so they could raise money. That's what it seems more to me, for whatever reason, for their habits. For whatever, just because they're grifters. Charlotte says, "Who I missed who this is." Latesh Morris, young girl, Lateche, and her last name is Norris, Norris. She went missing from Indiana, or she's originally from Indiana, but she went missing in California. And then all of a sudden, she and her boyfriend popped up out of nowhere after 4 weeks. And they said they were homeless. They were living on the streets. And it was Cherie that first let me know about it. And just reading the stories, it just sounds a little bit outrageous. And this is one more reason, as Cherie has already pointed out, that I don't allow GoFundMe pages of any kind in the group. Just, there's no way to back up whether these things are real. Are people just trying to raise money because they want to go on vacation? And, I'm just not getting into any of that. So it's all banned. Petitions as well. Of course, the problem is that this is like the boy who cried wolf. That, what does this mean for the future? Similar stories like this where it might be real. This is the real problem with all of this. Of course, teenagers who go missing, they're really not missing. They're staying at a friend's house. They're staying with their boyfriend or girlfriend. They're just hiding. They're not missing. They're not in danger. They're just hiding out. And they'll allow the police and family members and everyone to go all over the city and town and countryside and everything else looking for them. And here they are, holed up somewhere in an apartment playing video games and, drinking and partying and everything else while everybody else is looking for them. That's not a disappearance case. That's somebody who is just choosing to live a different life. And then, then when the party ends, the money runs out, the booze runs out, the drugs run out. And then all of a sudden they come out and say, oh yeah, he did this to me and he did that to me. And I did that for this reason. I did that for reason. And none of it, none of it's true. This jades people's opinions of disappearances. I hate it. And I wish that there would be some sort of penalty for doing this, charging them for all the work and searching and everything that was done, the gas for the vehicles and electricity and everything else. I wish these people would be charged, fraud or something like that, and make them pay restitution, maybe some community service to send a message. I'm not sure that's done ever, though. Certainly could be the situation here. But you can look it up for yourself, determine what you think. Cherie says they basically tried to capitalize on the Gabby Patina story. No surprise. That would not surprise me at all. That would not surprise me at all. It just has a lot of the feeling of Sherry Papini. Now, if you're new to the live show or you maybe forget what I said about Sherry Papini, of course, I think it happened did it happen before Unfound started? I forget now. But I think there's a lot of reasons to believe that was not real. Going along with the idea that it was two women who just, attacked her or whatever. Now, she was branded, and somebody cut off her hair and everything. I'm more inclined to believe this might have been some sex game that went wrong. Or, was she cheating on her husband? Or maybe they had some sort of open marriage or something like that. This is the first thing that occurs to me. And then when things don't go right, and the guy's there, well, I don't want to get in trouble or anything. We got to make this look good. Cuts off her hair and does those things. Now, the other theory that I've been open to, although this would mean then that it was a real kidnapping, at least to start, is that what I would say about Sherry Papini, you have to remember, I think she was in her early 30s when this happened. Well, to look at her, she does not look, at least the pictures that have been publicized, who knows what she looks like in person. But she doesn't look 30 something. She looks very, very young for her age. Good for her. Could it be that, somebody was out there thought that she was a child and kidnapped her? Now she's not, she's a grown woman. She's built like a woman. The minority view that I have is that somebody thought she was actually a child. They were going to kidnap a child and then figured out, oh, wait a minute, she's not a teenager. Actually, she's 30 and a mother of 2. However, I got to tell you that I'm more inclined to believe the first choice. And it just seems to me that if there were really 2 women, once again, I don't care about the ethnicity of the race, whether it was California, or Florida, anywhere else. If there were 2 women riding around trying to kidnap people, you'd hear about it and they would have been caught. And, unless we're to believe this is the only time they attempted something like this, which really challenges my imagination. So because of that, because I know frauds happen like this, I'm inclined to think that Sherry Papini's was a fraud. And I'm inclined to believe on top of that, that Latesh Norris's disappearance for these weeks was a fraud too. I'm more inclined to believe that doing it for money, for whatever kind of money. Delane says, people like that make it difficult for families that really do need help with a missing person. They certainly do. Kathy says, Sherry P trying to raise dollars to do fun stuff, all fake. Yeah, you're out there in California, Kathy, so you know about that. John in BC of British Columbia a few years back, they used to cut girls' hair when they owed drug money. I think I've heard about that, Jan. Thank you for that. Charlotte, do you think they are making any breakthroughs in the Delphi case? Oh, yeah, let's talk about that before I get to this Friday's disappearance. Not sure if they have been doing that in other places. Yeah, kind of maybe a little bit of a breakthrough. New news on the Delphi case. Looking into a guy who had a fake account on Snapchat. But my understanding is that guy is, has already been caught. And so I don't know what the Delphi police, the police up there, are really trying to do with that. But I have to tell you that it does fit into my belief of what happened. It just really, I find it hard to believe that these 2 girls just showed up there and there was a guy there that just decided to kill him. I mean, it happens. We know school shootings, kid going into, as we had in Michigan, kids going in, shooting the place up. Columbine, elsewhere, Sandy Hook, wherever. Happens. But to me, something about a grown man being at this park or on these railroad tracks, and those girls, 2 girls just happen to be there too, and then just decides to kill them. What are the odds? And I think what we know about situations like this, other types of situations where kids have been kidnapped, abducted, held for ransom, murdered, is it usually it's not something that's random. It's something that it was arranged. They thought that they were meeting somebody that really wasn't who he or she said they were. Now, what's frustrating, what goes against that is you'd think by now they would have figured out who these 2 girls were communicating with, which would be, that's the counter argument. So, but some news, if there was some fake account, then that would fall into my theory, but it just seems to me like this has been already been done. And this guy has been identified. His picture's out there. And I got to say, he doesn't look to me like the picture of the guy, the sketch has been out there, or the far away picture that was on, that I guess was on the girl's phone or whatever. So, don't know. This is one of those, once again, this is one of those cases where you think it should have been solved in like a week. And here we are at least a few years later, still unsolved. This is just like Missy Beavers getting murdered in that church in Texas. That was another one. You thought it'd be solved like that. Still unsolved. It's just weird how these things work. I'm not a murder expert. I'm a disappearance expert. Maybe if I knew more about murders and been covering murders for the last 5 years, I could give you some better reasons why these two particular cases are unsolved. But I can't do that. But all I can tell you is if these two girls would have gone missing, I think we would think that something was arranged. That they thought they were meeting somebody there, a boy their age or boys their age, and it wasn't. It was some adult. I think that's what we would think. And if Missy Beavers showed up at that church and she went missing from there, I think what we would be thinking is somebody knew she was going to be there and kidnapped her. I think that's what we'd think. If these were disappearances. Of course, they're not. They're murders. So that adds in some more variables. Kathy says he was interviewed 5 years ago. So yeah, it just there's a part of me that think this might be something, but then more I started reading on about it, it just seems like this is like going over covered ground already. But I'm not an expert in the Delphi murders. So take that for what it's worth. All right, let's go to this Friday's episode. We're going back to the Pittsburgh area again, just like we were in Blairsville a few weeks ago. And of course, just a couple weeks ago, Lonnie Rogers, although technically she was not near Pittsburgh, but still Western Pennsylvania. The disappearance of Jamie Peterson. She went missing on September 26th of 2011, so just over 10 years old. She went missing from Ross Township, Pennsylvania, which is north of Pittsburgh, a bit north. And the guest for the episode is her daughter, Daisy, who was almost 13 years old when she went missing. And the title of this episode is Deja Vu, because I think when you hear the details of this disappearance, it's going to remind you of a disappearance we've already covered on Unfound, but I'm not going to say it here because I want you to listen to the episode and see if you can figure out what it is for yourself without cheating. Don't cheat. And I think as I'm doing this is because I want all of you to start thinking in those terms. I want you to be able to start listening to these newer episodes and being able to start, you know what? This sounds a lot like these 3 or 4 disappearances that Unfound covered back then. I want you yourself to be able to identify, what I've talked about, knowing it when you see it, knowing that this is a particular type of disappearance. And so we are looking for these types of facts. What we can do with them. And the way you do that is being able to look at this disappearance and then being able to compare it to others and compare and contrast. Of course, it's deja vu because, doesn't have a feeling like we've done this before. I think you are going to have that feeling with Jamie's disappearance. Will it remind you of another one? And so I talk a little bit about that. That's the theme. And then in the summation, I talk about how investigators need to start having deja vu too. They need to remember disappearances well enough that when they show up for the next disappearance, it reminds them of one that maybe they filed a report on before. You got to know it when you see it or when you hear it. If you don't, it's always going to be like you're learning for the first time. And to use examples I used earlier in this live show tonight, imagine if a dentist, every time he worked on a patient, it was his first time. Imagine a plumber. Every time he showed up, it was like he was working on a toilet for the first time. Imagine an engineer building a bridge for the first time. We would be like, well, that sounds a little shaky. Well, that's what's going on with Disappearances right now. And we need to change that. So once again, this Friday, the disappearance of Jamie Peterson. She was 30 years old, the mother of two, from Ross Township, Pennsylvania. She went missing on September 26, 2011. The guest is her daughter, Daisy. And the title of the episode is Deja Vu. That's all I have for you tonight, man, right there at 2 hours. So what I talk about, of course, disc golf. Talked about how I think I have photosensitive epilepsy. There's your, Tim, you were asking me about that earlier. Went to the dentist again. I think it's fixed this time. Iron Maiden tickets. Got them. Gun range tomorrow if I can get up early. Ali Lowitzer, Paul, Ashley Simpson's remains were found. Rest in peace, Rest in peace, Ashley. Website and YouTube channel. Brian Schaefer video. No petitions or GoFundMe's. Talked about case requests. Talked about getting emails from people. Talked about Heidi Plank. Talked about Latesh Norris. Took some questions from Laura and Delane. Finished it up with this Friday's episode. Keep your head on a swivel, as Cherie says. Good night to everyone, including the viewer from New Zealand. Thank you all. Thank you so much for giving Unfound a little portion of your Wednesday evening or night. And you'll hear me on Friday. Good night.